All right. Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast, everyone. This is Abe, your host. It is September 16th, 2024. Got my co-host here, Lammy Chillmeister. So, here's the deal. As far as an update. Yesterday, I did not put out an episode. I always try to put out at least a Leave the World Behind episode. We are almost done with that series. We're getting close to the end. I'm a busy man. And I still have to live my life and enjoy my life, you know. I can't just work 40 hours a week and then podcast as a side job and that's all I do. Like, I still have to go out and have fun to keep my sanity. So I apologize for that, but there's a reason. Because usually, even if me and Sammy do go on a date, I usually still put out at least a Leave the World Behind episode. Sometimes I'll do 2 podcasts on my days off, you know. Shotgun blast, double barrel. But yesterday I went on a date. I got home pretty early, about 6:30. Got about 2, maybe 3 hours of sleep. Got up at 11. And me and her went to a brewery for a tour called West Sixth Brewery in a shady part of town in Lexington, but it was pretty fun. They got a real good fucking restaurant attached to the brewery that cooks, like, it's all like fish related. So as soon as you walk in, you could smell fish. My wife was like, ew. I'm like, I love it because I love seafood. They got fried cod. They got fried oysters, oyster fritters, fried shrimp, fish and chips. It's like kind of like a deep south fish fry place, seafood fried place. But the tour was fun, man. We paid like $12 for 2 tickets, me and her, and went through the tour. There was another couple with us. They were kind of weird. They were from California. They were nice, but just the whole thing was weird. So the dude's wife was back in California, and the girl he was with was married, but they have 3 kids together. By the way, the girl he was with, him and her were like hugging on each other and touching each other the whole time. She was breastfeeding a baby back home, yet going to a brewery, drinking alcohol. And by the way, this tour, she gave us, like, my wife went sober, and because she was the driver, but like, she was giving us a decent amount of fucking alcohol. Like, to the point of, at the end of the tour, I'm like, okay, I broke away from the group. I'm like, sorry, I got to pee, man. This beer is flowing through me. We had probably like 6 half glasses of beer because she was pouring them in halves. And like, yeah, I wasn't like drunk or nothing, but I mean, I was feeling decent by the end of the tour. But yeah, this lady was breastfeeding her baby, and I'm like, I don't think you're supposed to be drinking alcohol if you're breastfeeding. And it was funny. The guy was like, yeah, I'm not going to drink anymore after the tour. At the end of the tour, he's like, I'm not going to drink anymore. So then he drinks another beer, the last beer on the tour. Well, two more beers on the tour, 2 more half beers. Then he goes and sits at the bar and has 2 more. And he had to be at the airport like 2 or 3 hours later. I'm like, the whole situation was crazy with that couple, man. Like, they both had 3 kids together, were both snuggling, taking pictures, getting drunk together, yet they both were married to other people. I don't know. California is fucking weird. Hey, I'm not judging. If you if you guys as couples are weird or cool about that shit. I just know personally, if my wife wanted to hang out with an ex-boyfriend and go to a brewery and get drunk with an ex-boyfriend and they were taking pictures and snuggling and shit, like, I personally would not be fucking cool with that. That's just me. In the comments, you can tell me maybe I'm just not an adult. Maybe I'm immature. Maybe I'm too paranoid, too protective. But that's just me. I think the whole thing was fucking weird. But we had a really good time. Bought some stickers. Bought a couple glasses. We ended up eating at that fish restaurant. We got fried cod with fish and hush puppies. It was awesome. We had an awesome time. So, needless to say, when I got home, I just basically took a schizophrenia pill, chilled out, and I still didn't end up going to sleep till like 10 o'clock at night. And I was running on 3 hours. I'm like, I'm not going to podcast, like, after drinking a bit at a brewery on like zero sleep. I'm not going to just be like, hey, this is Abe. I wasn't smashed, but I didn't want to be unprofessional podcasting. You know what I mean? But that's why I didn't put anything out yesterday. I just wanted to go on my date, enjoy my day off, and podcast today. So that's my little intro of what's been going on in my personal life. Let's go on with the first story. So let's get it while it's hot off the presses. I tried covering as much as I could on the first Trump assassination attempt. I think I did like maybe 4 episodes on it, trying to cover as much information as possible. I'm not surprised that I think personally those videos were shadow banned because there's like no views on them. So go back and check those out. We do deep dives on the shooter, the conspiracies around it. We covered it live while it was happening. Yeah, just crazy shit. So I will not be surprised if this episode gets shadow banned too. Trump had another assassination attempt on him, on his life. A dude named Ryan Wesley Routh. R-O-U-T-H. Everyone's saying Routh. I think it's Ruth, but that's just me. So a little bit about this dude. He wrote a book talking about, basically in the book, something crazy that he was saying was literally, he put out like an open invitation for Iran to assassinate Donald Trump. He's a super left-leaning dude. He is super pro-Ukraine war. Like, he literally has been over in Ukraine fighting on behalf of Ukraine and getting other people to sign up and fight for Ukraine. Half of his hair is blue. So, dude's super fucking liberal. And it kind of bothers me too. Everyone's pointing out the blue hair. Okay, I had like bright red hair at one point. My wife had blue hair, so it kind of bothers me a little bit. Just because I am a punk, and I've went on this little rant before, but it fucking pisses me off. Like, Antifa and the modern liberal has literally taken like punk rock fashion and taken it for their own. So now when people see people like me who has like a reverse mullet and spiky hair, paints their nails, I haven't dyed my hair in forever because the left has taken dyed hair and ruined it. It does piss me off when I hear people like, well, he had blue hair. Like, I hate that the left and Antifa and liberals have taken punk rock fashion and ruined it. Because now everyone automatically assumes I'm super fucking liberal. I'm a classic liberal, but it's like, dude, I voted for Trump second time he ran. Like, I am not a fucking, like, crazy left-wing idiot. So here's some crazy shit. In 2002, he was caught with a weapon of mass destruction, and he only got probation. This is insane. And you see this a lot with a lot of these fucking shooters. You can go all the way back to like Columbine. Of like, there's always like fucking red flags. Like Columbine, like, I think there was a van that was stolen. One of the kids was on Prozac. They both like got like in trouble for like multiple times when they should have been put on radars and on watch lists. Like, this dude got caught with a weapon of mass destruction and got probation. Like, how is this guy not on a list? How are you guys not watching him? By the way, too, like, a weapon of mass destruction, like, that's like gotta be like a bomb or something, like a decent bomb that could like fucking cause some crazy damage. And you see it, like I said, with all these shooters at these high impact events, getting caught for crazy shit before the shooting, and they're not jailed or arrested. They're not on watch list. You see it all the time. So basically what happened was this Routh character, Donald Trump, was on a golf course playing golf, and this Routh character was like kind of like in a wooded area. He set up near like a fence or something like that. He had 2 backpacks full of ceramic tiles, and he put one on each end, and I'm assuming he was in the middle with his barrel of his gun there, getting a good shot. He was like, the mainstream story is he was 300 to 500 yards away from the president, and Secret Service actually did their job, which is good on you guys. Seen the barrel of the gun poking out, and started firing upon him. He ran off. He drove off in a black Nissan. It looked like an SUV. I didn't know Nissans had black SUVs from the footage I seen. Cops caught up with him down the road and got him. So that's the story. But he has made posts in the past that he was working with the Pentagon. So that's sketchy as fuck. I don't trust the fucking Pentagon. He has donated 19 times to the Biden and Harris funds for, I'm guessing, election campaigns, 19 times. So just like Crooks, he is a left-wing Democrat. Crooks was registered Republican, but donated to left-wing causes and shit, and was anti-Trump. So, like, people can change their parties. I'm a registered Republican because I didn't know what to register at the time. First time I voted for Trump, and I was like, fuck it, I'll just register Republican. I do want to change my party, though, to, like, independent or something. So, here's something wild. Crooks and Routh are both in BlackRock commercials. I don't know if we talked about Crooks being in one. It was like at his school while he was in high school, he was in a BlackRock commercial. Routh is in a BlackRock commercial, but it was like a Ukraine-related BlackRock commercial. So, if I was the FBI and not corrupt, I would be looking into BlackRock like, hey, how come all these, like, failed assassination attempts are all people who are in you guys' commercials? Are you guys behind this shit? Do you have something to do with this shit? Because that's twice now that we've had a assassin in y'all's commercials. I don't know. The whole thing's fucking weird. But let's get on with the next subject. So apparently there's a whistleblower affidavit about the presidential debate, the most recent one with Kamala and Donald Trump. So in this affidavit, here's a couple things that I wanted to talk about that they mention. Kamala Harris apparently had a smaller podium than Trump. And it was admitted that they were going to use certain angles to make her look favorable and him less favorable. Now, the podium thing, why does this matter? Psychological, subliminal, psychological, I guess, triggers. It would trigger subliminally a psychological thing, because if someone's using a smaller podium, they appear to be larger and bigger and more badass. Trump had a bigger podium, which would subliminally, you wouldn't even notice, like, but your brain would catch it and pick up on it. And with him having a bigger podium, it would cause him to look smaller, inferior, weaker. That's why this is important. And most people, you wouldn't even notice it. And I don't know how much smaller her podium was. It didn't tell in the affidavit. But it could have just been 3 inches smaller. But even then, it's going to cause subliminally psychological triggers of like, she looks tough and strong and he looks weak. You know, look how little his hands are. This whistleblower admitted that Trump would be fact-checked the entire time. Harris would not. So there was automatic bias, and ABC would be fact-checking him the whole time. And if you watch the debate, you've seen it. Like, the debaters were arguing with Trump and never with Harris. Harris was, this whistleblower said, provided with questions beforehand. And we all assumed it, we just couldn't prove it, but this proves it, that this whistleblower saying, yes, she was given questions beforehand. Trump was not. Why is this important? Because that gives you time to practice, come up with answers. It doesn't put you on the spot. You don't have to shoot at the hip like Trump. Trump had to shoot at the hip. She already knew all the questions, already had answers ready. And if you notice the entire time, she's sitting there with a pen and paper writing stuff down. Which I do that when I'm podcasting. You'll see me with notes and shit. Making notes. Oh, I need to talk about this, or scratching off notes and shit. You see it the whole time. I watched the whole debate. I didn't see Trump not once writing on a notepad or anything. They did bring up in this affidavit. Now, I feel a little 50-50 on this one. Kamala's brother-in-law, Tony West, I've never even heard of this guy, was caught embezzling billions of dollars, apparently. And in the affidavit, the whistleblower affidavit, they're like, well, why wasn't this question brought up? I feel 50-50 on this one, because if she had nothing to do with it, why would it get brought up? Now, there's some people who believe the apple does not fall far from the tree, and there is people who are very guilty by association. I don't feel the same way. My dad was a satanic Luciferian child molester who got caught making child pornography and harming babies and children. That doesn't mean that I'm a Luciferian child molester. But there are people in this community who would want to expose me as some Illuminati, fucking controlled opposition. Look what his dad did. He must be a Satanist too. He must rape children too. I think that's unfair. You can't choose who your parents are. You can't choose who your family is. You can't choose what they do. That's my opinions on that. Yeah, he got caught embezzling billions, but it's her brother-in-law. Like, unless she's connected with the case, which I haven't seen evidence for yet, like, I kind of agree that it shouldn't be brought up in the debate. You know, you can't choose what your family does. But this whistleblower affidavit about the election debate, it proves that there is collusion with ABC and the Kamala Harris campaign. Now, there's people who are like, this is an amazing find. Like, this can get her taken off the ballot. This should get her taken off the ballot. But do not get your hopes up, because we all know how corrupt the judicial system is at the very top, and even in lower courts. We all know how corrupt the whole system is. Corrupt. Like, I hate to sound like a conservative Republican, but that is the perfect phrase of we are in a swamp, and we have to clear the swamp. The judicial system, the political system, the Pentagon, the FBI, the CIA, all of it is fucking corrupt, infiltrated, it's a swamp. So don't get your hopes up. But yes, this proves collusion, and she should be technically taken off the ballot, which I would love to see, because then that would be RFK against Trump. RFK could pull out and run against Trump again. I would vote RFK. That'd be awesome. But it ain't gonna happen. So don't get your hopes up. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I would love to be wrong, but just don't get your hopes up. So, next subject. I want to talk about this, and this is less conspiratorial, but it still is important, and I still think it should be brought to people's attention, because it shows the character of Tim Walz. We literally have done like 2 videos on how shady and what a piece of shit Tim Walz is. But this is something that I came across here recently. Now, not gonna lie, I'm gonna get on to the right on this one. And I don't care if you guys like or dislike, but it's the truth. I have seen multiple videos and podcasts talking about Tim Walz's son crying and being a big baby when his dad first announced that he was going to run as vice president nominee for Kamala Harris. And all these content creators were making fun of his son. And I'm not gonna lie, his son is like 16 years old, something like that. He's a teenager. At first, I fell into it too, and I'm not gonna lie. So I'm not casting the first stone, but I am going to get on to people, though, in general, and I fell for it. I was like, what a goofball, what a loser. Like, your dad's a piece of shit, and you're crying because you're happy, and I didn't know this. His son is not all there in the head. His son apparently is, like, mentally retarded. So like I said, he without sin cast the first stone. I have sinned too. I laughed and made fun of the kid. And we have to remember, whether you're right or left, which I'm smack dab in the middle. I'm a classic liberal. I think 2 wings, same bird. Order out of chaos, divide and conquer, left versus right. I seen this happen with the left with Barron Trump. Barron Trump has some like cognitive issues. He's not all there either. I'm sure he's smart, but he's got mental disability stuff. And the left was evil in making fun of Barron. We can't stoop to their level. We can't do it. And I seen it, the right-wing people making fun of Tim Walz's son, in the past, and maybe they didn't know, like me, but we can't keep doing it, is what I'm trying to say. So if you're a content creator and watching this and you were making fun of his son, we can't. First of all, we shouldn't be making fun of children. And children cannot help who their parents are. I can't help who my parents are. When I was in school, people used to make fun of my parents for being preachers and so religious, and my haircut and the way I dressed, and I wasn't allowed to dress like a punk. I had to sneak clothes in my backpack and get dressed in the school bathroom to be myself. I had like weird haircuts and shit because they wouldn't let me grow my hair out. It's not cool. You can't, and I would tell people like, that's my parents. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a nerd. They make me dress like this. They cut my hair like this. Like, I can't control who my parents are. It's not fair, dude. We can't do that. So we shouldn't be making fun of children in general. That's punching down, and that's not cool. And we shouldn't be making fun of retarded people either, you know. So that bothers me, but this shows you Tim Walz's character. I wish I could give a proper shout out and I should have written it down. I just wasn't thinking, and you guys know me, I try to give proper shout outs, but I was watching a body language analyst, and Tim Walz was doing something on stage. He was doing something. He was at a rally. It was a Tim Walz rally. And his son was on stage. And by the way, you really don't have to be a body language analyst to understand that Tim Walz was just being a piece of shit. He's like, at one point, his son gets on the stage and his son's like, ee, ee, you know, smiling. I'm not making fun, but that's what he was doing. Like, ee. And Tim Walz grabs his arm, and you can see Tim Walz's face. He grits his teeth and he goes, "Get over here," and yanks him towards him. And then you see the kid just immediately straighten up, and he's like, puts his head down and like acts scared. Not cool, dude. I've seen this out in public and stuff of people yanking their kids when their kids are just being kids. Even they're not even special ed children, and they're being just, you know, you don't grab your kid like that and yank them. And you've got so much anger that you're gritting your teeth. You could see it in his face. Go, "Ugh, get over here." He's special ed. What are you doing, dude? You know, I'm not perfect. I wasn't the perfect parent. I lost my temper. But like, dude, you are on camera. You're in front of a live audience. Like, if that's what he does on camera, imagine what he does behind closed doors when there are no cameras. That's the scary part. Because if you're doing that in front of hundreds of people, well, let's admit it's a Tim Walz rally, so there was only like 50. Just like Kamala Harris, they can't get a whole bunch of people, but a crowd, you know. You're in front of a crowd on a stage. You're in front of cameras, live. I'm sure the thing was broadcast live. It was at least recorded because we can watch the video of it, of you yanking your son's arm. If you're willing to do that in front of thousands of eyeballs, imagine what he does behind closed doors, like yelling at this child, maybe even physical abuse, allegedly. I don't know. And people can say, well, this isn't conspiracy. What's the point in bringing this up? This is just gossip. I think it's important, man, because yes, there might be some idiots who watch this channel. Sometimes we get liberal, brainwashed, blue-pilled motherfuckers who either come on my channel to troll or they come on my channel to, like, talk shit. And if they hear this and they go check it out, it might keep them from voting for this motherfucker. Like, you know, I think Trump is the lesser of two evils, and if I can ruin Tim Walz's reputation even more, and by the way, this is the third time I've reported on how much of a piece of shit this guy is. We covered him putting tampons in boys' bathrooms in schools. We covered him crashing his motorcade into a press van and breaking a woman's arms and just driving on, not even stopping to check. So go check out that episode. This dude is a garbage person. And if I can talk someone into not voting for him, I'm going to. But there you have it. We covered 3 subjects. Say goodbye, Lammy. We covered whistleblower affidavit on the most recent debate, how this proves ABC collusion with the Kamala Harris party. We covered Tim Walz physically abusing his mentally retarded son, allegedly. And we covered, what was the first subject? Oh, the most current Trump assassination attempt shooter and the weird shit with that. So we covered 3 subjects. I think that's a pretty good episode, 30 minutes. But y'all have a good day. Please like, share, and subscribe.